For more, we welcome in CBS NBA analyst and former Coach of the Year, Avery Johnson. Coach, plenty to unpack coming out of Game 4 here. At the heart of it all, the Hawks, they even the series at 2 games apiece, but the headline, what appeared to be a nasty knee injury to Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo. Gut-wrenching. We're obviously hoping for the best, Coach, but when you see that knee moving in a way that it should not, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was I was hoping that it wasn't an ACL injury, because that's how, historically, ACL injuries are basically non-impact injuries. You come down the wrong way, the knee buckles, and then you're out for an entire year. I like the sign of Giannis walking back to the court and then them ruling it that it could be an hyperextension of the knee. But if this is an ACL or an MCL injury, then he's done for the year. We'll know a lot more tomorrow, especially after an MRI. But it just didn't look good. He came down the wrong way. Fortunately, his brother helped him off the court. They had some conversations there. But this is outwardly looking, this is a very nasty looking injury. And it remains to be seen what's going to happen with him for Game 5. Trae Young, obviously, we saw his ankle injury. We didn't know the extent of his injury, and then he missed Game 4. But we got our fingers crossed. Even the Hawks fans, even though they were booing Giannis and counting him down at the free throw line, they have a lot of respect for the 2-time NBA MVP.
Yeah, no doubt we are hoping for all the best, just for, the competitive sake of things, because this is just the latest in a growing list of star players forced out of these playoffs. We saw it just a moment ago, an alarming number, frankly. Coach, I know we can't really point to one thing in specific, but these do seem to be rampant and too rampant to be coincidental. If you're consulting the commissioner this offseason, what are you telling him in regards to player health and safety moving forward?
What I'm telling him is let's try to minimize the back-to-back games if we can. And I played in the season, and I don't want to be hypocritical. I played in the season in 1999 because of the lockout. We played 3 games in a row, a couple of times a year. But we got to try to minimize the back-to-back games, the 5 games in a week, maybe a maximum of 3 games in a week, only 2. Spread the season out a little bit more because there's a lot of wear and tear on these guys' body. And even though the NBA is not directly involved in this, these players are brands now. They have a lot of going on off the court, a lot more involvement in appearances, brand awareness, influencers. So they're not just sitting at home all the time. So I would say spread the season out a little bit more and try to reduce the amount of back-to-back games.
And some of those brand names are headed to Tokyo in about a month to play under the banner of the United States of America. We'll see how that workload affects things next season, perhaps. But the Bucks, perhaps without Giannis, Hawks without Trae, Clippers without Kawhi, Jazz without Conley and Mitchell, Lakers without AD, Nuggets without Murray, Nets without Kyrie and Harden. The list goes on. Last man standing might be just that this postseason, Coach. But we do have to operate in the here and now. In terms of a turning point here in Game 4, obviously Giannis leaving was a big one, but you thought the turning point came before that.
Yeah, I think the turning point came when Giannis basically shot the air ball from 3 and then subsequently airballed 2 free throws. It's really deflating when you have a 2-time MVP that can't even touch the rim at the free throw line. Now, we understand he's not a three-point shooter. He's not Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a prolific three-point shooter. So I thought that was very deflating for his team. You can look at his coach, Mike Budenholzer. He basically was shaking his head. And that permeates in a negative effect throughout the rest of the team. But here's another turning point in the game overall. Joe, I'm about to celebrate my 30-year wedding anniversary, so I love the number 30. But Giannis and Chris Middleton cannot combine for 30 points in the game after they've combined for 71 points in the game. So even though I love the number 30, that's another turning point in this series. Giannis and Chris Middleton combining for 30 points.
Coach is going to have to offer up some pointers on a happy marriage because those were not prime nuptials here on Tuesday night. Even prior to the Giannis injury, this was a Hawk squad playing with a whole lot of purpose, Coach, in the absence of their star in Trae Young. 6 players in double digits, led by Lou Williams. How impressed were you by Atlanta, the supporting cast from opening tip? You called for Luscious Lou to have a good one, and he did just that.
Yeah, we've been calling for Lemon Pepper Lou. We know Lemon Pepper Lou loves Atlanta. You know, he was really hesitant about the trade to Atlanta, but I think he's happy now. But we've been calling for Lou all series, all playoffs, to really have that breakout performance like he had, you know, when he played for the Clippers as the sixth man of the year. He's had, you know, unbelievable games before. He's got a tremendous amount of experience. I think just sometimes because of Trae Young and Trae Young attempting so many shots, you know, Lou looks bored on the court sometimes. He's like, where do I fit in? Well, he fit in tonight. And he was extraordinary, even with his assists. Atlanta did a nice job in terms of their assist-to-turnover ratio. And then some other contributions from guys like Cam Reddish, who's been basically injured all year, comes off the bench with double figures. Capella was solid. Bogdanovic made 6 out of Atlanta's 13 three-point shots. So, but it was all started with Lou Williams, who was the new maestro on the floor tonight, making a cameo about all names for Trae Young.
That's what we call all flats fried hard with the mild sauce from Chicago, Coach. Both Young and Giannis, their status, they remain in question. These are the stars, and it's a star-driven league. There's plenty of series to play. Bucks down Giannis, Hawks down Trae. Who do you give the edge moving forward in this now best-of-3 series?
Well, there's no question it's the Atlanta Hawks. You know, if Giannis is not going to be available and Trae Young is not going to be available, and you look at the others, you know, I had this question asked earlier. With Giannis, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are the better team, but without Giannis, without Trae, the Hawks have a better roster, and they're deeper. And, you know, Hawks are 9 players deep compared to Milwaukee's maybe 6 players deep. And especially if, you know, Portis is shooting all those blanks from the three-point line and Brook Lopez is not operating inside and Middleton scoring 14 points a game, then you got to give the advantage to Atlanta Hawks, even though they're going back to Milwaukee. So I think health is the great neutralizer in all of these series. We've seen it successfully for the Phoenix Suns when, even though Chris Paul was out injured, they were able to go up 2-0 in the series. Now you see the Hawks without Trae Young able to tie this series. So even though injuries are the great neutralizer, some teams taking advantage of it. And that's why I was talking about it early on CBS Sports HQ, that the Hawks would be a dangerous team without Trae Young, especially if Lou Williams steps up.
Yeah, they no doubt showed the ability to play team basketball in Game 4. He's our coach and yours as well. Avery Johnson.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.